Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Wealth Movement. My name is Kristoffer Fu, and thank you guys so much for staying patient. It's been a busy first couple of weeks here in 2024, getting everything ready for this coming year. A lot of new exciting things that I'm looking forward to sharing with all of you over the next couple of weeks. With 2024 brings a lot of intention, brings a lot of reflection in the previous year. And with that, I wanted to share with you guys something that is important, a thought that constantly surrounds my mind. And that is, I truly believe that we live in a world where everyone, and I mean everyone, can truly live the life of their dreams. Now, it's not easy. It sounds a lot easier than actually doing it, but I believe it is possible for everyone. And I believe that is possible through cultivating a growth mindset, adopting a holistic life plan, and having the right team around you. Now, as a wealth advisor on that team, I aim to empower people with financial knowledge and guide them through uncertainty with intention, transparency, and most importantly, collaboration. My goal as well is also to help relentlessly fight to bring those dreams and their legacies to life, which is why I'm excited to share this new episode of the Wealth Movement with you guys. In this conversation, I sit down and have the pleasure of chatting with Pete LoPresti, the president of Rescom Financial Services, a boutique lending company here in Southern California. We're also joined by Pete's right-hand woman, Kristen Robertson. Pete and Kristen have been helping families and individuals get into their first home, second home, investment real estate. Their vision is not only to just help people get into homes, but really help shape their financial life, which I believe is the reason why we connected so easily, is because we share a lot of the same values when it comes to the people that we serve. See, in today's environment, it's very competitive, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You're dealing, especially here in California, with low inventory, high mortgage rates, high inflation. It seems as though it may be hopeless, right? To buy your first home. Seems like it's an impossible dream. But I'm here to tell you guys that it is not. And I believe that because Pete and his team have continued to help individuals despite these current conditions. And I believe a lot of their success stems from, first of all, their process in sitting down with their clients and really getting to know their financial goals and their dreams. And most importantly, why buying this investment or buying their first home is so important for them. From understanding those reasons, they can best guide their clients so that they can make the right financial decisions. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Pete and Kristen. And if you have not yet, please go ahead and subscribe and share this episode with people who you think could benefit from learning more about Pete and his team and what they do to help individuals with their real estate lending needs. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
Like, my worst fear is when they call me and say, we're in debt, we need to cash out.
All right, Pete.
Yeah.
Kristen, thanks for having me here in your beautiful office, Rescom Financial Services.
Well, thanks for having us, Chris.
I appreciate the time, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you guys. We connected. Actually, I connected with Kristen, and she reached out to me and I guess was a fan with some of my Instagram videos. I appreciate that. And
Yes.
had a lovely coffee, and
Yeah.
we connected on a lot of different things. So I'm excited to share with people what you guys do and how you guys, do it differently. That's honestly what I attracted me and wanted me to have this conversation with you guys, because I've worked in the financial industry for a long time and worked with a lot of different people in the mortgage industry, and just your approach just seemed different to me, and it aligned with kind of how I view helping people.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to get into that.
Awesome.
But, before we get into it, I always like to just start with icebreakers, just to get the conversation flowing. And one of my favorite icebreakers is, imagine you're having your last supper, each one of you, your own separate last supper. And there's 3 people that you could invite to that dinner. They could be live, they could be dead. Who would you invite to that dinner? You can't be family members,
Right.
but they could be old relatives maybe, but not direct family members.
Maybe influential people.
Yeah. Whoever you, want to bring. Who would they be and why? I'm curious.
So should I go first?
Yes.
Okay. So I got to say Jesus.
Yeah.
And there's 2 reasons. 1, he's an awesome guy and I've always wanted to meet him. 2, I really want to ask him like what to expect the next day when I'm dead. Right? Because my last supper, I'm not going to have another one.
Mm-hmm.
So I could, ask him some specific questions. I think that'd be cool. And besides, he liked to drink wine and break bread, and I'm really into that too. Probably my grandfather would be next, because I miss him, and we were tight. He's been gone since 97. And I'd like to talk to him again. And I gotta go with Elvis, man. I think it'd be cool to meet Elvis. Yeah.
Big rock fan.
Yeah, I just a fan of his. I like him. Yeah.
Nice.
Went to Memphis, did the whole thing with the Graceland
Oh, okay.
a number of years ago.
Oh,
And so I'm a fan. I think that'd be neat. Those are my 3 people.
okay. Elvis, grandfather, and
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. How about you, Kristen?
Okay, but mine are similar, with the exception of Elvis.
Hey, you don't like Elvis?
No, but I mean, you're already going to meet him for me.
She doesn't
so
like Elvis.
It's okay.
That's
Okay. So I also would like to speak with Jesus, meet Jesus, because I would like to find out, are we going to be like, what's the future look like here? And what do you think of what's going on? Right. Kind of those things. What does the future look like for our future generations? And then I would choose a grandmother and a grandfather. The reason why is my grandmother, I'd want to ask her what it's going to be like when I get to heaven. And
Right.
if I get there, please. hopefully that's where I'm
Pretty
headed.
sure you would.
Hopefully that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
It feels like she's copying me a little bit.
And
A
then,
little bit. Nah.
no, but you're
Just kidding,
asking
guys.
Jesus though.
That's true. No, you're
I'm
we're
asking my
We're
grandma.
asking different things.
Right. But I'm asking my grandma because like I was so close to her and I was like her. I'm like her. So she would give me kind of the opinion,
Sure.
right, that would be similar to how I would feel going somewhere, anywhere, right?
Right.
And then my grandfather, I really would be very interested in hearing more about the wars that he was in. He was in 3 different wars, and I don't know a lot about them except from what we learned in books. And I want to hear more of like a firsthand account, right, from him.
Yes.
What was his perspective during those times?
Right.
So yeah, those are my 3 because we couldn't choose our direct family.
Yeah.
Which, oh my gosh, how horrible.
I hope that's not on the same night, because Jesus would be like, what would he
He's
do?
busy,
He'd have
like
to
Santa
choose-
Claus.
He'd have to
He'd
choose
be
one of
busy.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make a choice.
Draw straws.
Oh my
He'd
gosh.
make time. I'm sure he
Yeah.
would.
Well, that's interesting that you both, chose your grandparents. Actually, that was an answer for me too when I was asked this question.
Oh, you answered your grandparents too?
Well, it was my grandfather on my mom's side. I
Mhm.
never had the opportunity to meet him,
Oh,
and because he had died before, I was born.
yeah.
And a lot of my aunts and my mom, tell me that
There's
we're very
similarities.
similar.
Yeah.
And I think it's just something about being able to, learn from where you came from, the people
Mhm.
that created you, just that lineage. I think that would, like you said, having that personal connection somehow, some way would have been great. And I think that's why we're so lucky in today's world with technology.
Yes.
Right.
Our future generations will be able to see kind of how we live.
Right.
We don't really get to see that with like our grandparents and them before them. So
Right.
yeah, so I share that same kind of where you guys are coming from too.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. I love the answers. I
Yeah.
love the answers.
We're all on the same page.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jesus is actually on my board of directors.
Nice. I love it.
When I need to go somewhere and talk to people that I look up to,
Yeah.
he's one of them too.
Excellent.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is good.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those answers.
Yeah.
I love the answers.
Thanks for expanding our minds and making
Yeah,
us think
no,
about
of
stuff like
course.
that. Not every day you're asked a question like that.
Yeah.
No, when you sent over the list of questions, I looked at, these are good questions.
They are good
I don't
questions.
know. I'm going to have to put in some work.
No, good. Yeah. Well, I love, listening to podcasts myself. Jay Shetty, Andrew Huberman,
Yeah.
and they just ask questions.
Right.
I feel like one way to connect with people is ask questions that maybe they've never been asked or haven't been asked recently,
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
That was definitely a question I'd never been asked.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hopefully now you guys can use
Yeah.
it. For your clients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I'm going to.
It's a
Yeah.
good one.
Well, speaking
For
of
sure.
clients, so Rescom Financial Services,
Mhm.
can you guys share a little bit, Kristen, about what you guys do, the history of the company, and
Yeah. So should I go?
I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay.
It's your baby.
So Rescom Financial Services, I opened it in 2008.
Okay.
And the idea was not just to be another broker, not to sound demeaning or negative about brokers, but I didn't want to be a mortgage broker. I wanted to be like a lender,
Mhm.
and I wanted to solve problems. I wanted to be kind of a confidant for my clients. So the way this company is set up is we're relatively small by design, and we're a direct lender and a broker. So I wanted to be able to do every type of residential loan available.
Okay.
But I wanted to do it on a smaller level where clients had the customer service that they needed. I know a lot of times clients go to larger banks
Mm-hmm.
and they don't really get the customer service and the attention that they need, especially with a first-time buyer that has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
So this was the best way I could design that, was by having a small team, seasoned people on our team, being able to offer every type of loan product, and just be essentially a boutique lender. That's the term I like to call it, because it's kind of the way we're set up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it like what made you, I guess, build the company to have that type of direction? Because I'm sure, it takes obviously a lot more attention, a lot more
Yeah.
work, a lot more effort
Oh, yeah.
to, like you said, some of the bigger, like the banks,
Right.
their job is to just get as many loans as possible
Right.
closed. Right.
More like
So-
order takers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's especially important to know for, instead of first-time home buyer.
Right.
Right. First-time home buyer, the home is probably going to be their largest investment
Yep.
in their entire life. And it's probably the most probably anxiety-provoking, scary kind.
Oh, yeah.
So you're taking on this huge financial commitment.
Yeah.
That society is telling you, one, that you should buy a home.
Sure.
Now, two, it's like you're ready for it too.
Yep.
So I guess my question is, like, what got you to that point where you wanted to, again, build your business the way it is now?
So it was my past. It was the time in between 96 and 2000 before I went on my own the first time. And during that period of time, I worked for two different large lenders and one independent mortgage broker. And I realized that I didn't like the way either of those scenarios worked.
Mm.
The larger companies were just, they didn't, and I don't mean to generalize large companies, but companies I work for, they didn't care about the client. It was just putting numbers on the board. And that was it.
Yeah.
So numbers, and that's it. They didn't, the people, the objective, what we were trying to do for people, it didn't count. None of that mattered. It was just numbers. And then the broker was just, at that point in time in 97, 98, 99, how do we make the most amount of money? It's the same objective, just on a different level, right?
Yeah.
So I always looked at home ownership as not something you should do, something you need to do. There's so many various benefits of home ownership. And frankly, we deal with a lot of older people
Mm-hmm.
that sadly don't have the retirement accounts they should have. They don't have the investment strategies or other avenues, all they have is their home.
Yes.
Imagine if they never bought.
Right.
What would they have now? Nothing. They couldn't do reverse mortgage. They couldn't sell to relocate for cash. They could. They literally would be sweating the rent every month. So buying a home is just extremely important for everyone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But how you help the client do that, and little tweaks and things you can do to help them get qualified, or maybe, there are times we tell people, hey, maybe this isn't the right time. Let's wait 6 months.
Okay.
Here's the strategy. This is what we need to do. Let's get you there. And then we follow up with them and keep them going.
I love that. Can you expand upon that? Because
Yeah.
Again, coming from where I came from too, right? Business was closed.
Right.
And the idea of, doing the right thing for the client,
Mhm.
like you said, it's not the right time,
Right.
but yet you walk them through the process of getting them to that point of it being the right time for them. Like,
Right.
what do you do? What does that
So,
conversation look like with someone?
well, let's say someone was, they're in a position where they have another 8 or 9 months left on their lease.
Okay.
And they don't have to buy something right now. They're not relocating. They want to buy a home and become a homeowner. We do a soft pull on their credit. There's 2 things on their credit that we feel they could fix, or we could help them fix, that would put them in a much better position from a qualifying standpoint. Maybe take them out of an FHA loan with upfront mortgage insurance and high monthly mortgage insurance into a conventional loan that doesn't have that. So it's much more affordable. If they have the time, I like to kind of coach them to that point and just structure them differently for that. There are times when people buy with FHA financing and they refinance, almost every time, invariably, they refinance out of it and do a conventional loan.
Yeah.
But those are the people that have to buy right now. Maybe there are other factors that come into play why they got to buy.
Yeah.
So I think buying sooner than later is absolutely apparent, and it's necessary. But when we're talking about months versus a 30-year loan, if we can change the direction of their home ownership and their cost and everything long term, and take a couple months out to structure, it's worth it.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. I also think that, and I was speaking with my family about this. I try to set them up now. They're obviously young, but I try to set them up now, because the best time to look for a home is when you don't need to have that life change, when you don't need, your lease isn't coming up,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So, and if we can talk to people before, so everyone says when most of the people that I speak with that are my children's age,
Yeah.
they say, yeah, I want to buy a home, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it. If we can change that conversation and have it where this is how you can do it versus feeling the challenge of the home prices and the down payment and all of that, but actually set them up with a plan of action so that 5 to 10 years down the road, they will be homeowners, or sooner, depending on, college, career, whatever they're doing. I think that it's really, really valuable. And we talk to people sometimes for years before they buy a house.
All right. Yeah.
Some people come to us and they have no idea what they're doing. Their credit is, like Pete said, maybe they need to work on their credit. They don't understand that they need to have the down payment and closing costs. There are a bunch of different variables, but really coaching them through. And then obviously during that time, we're talking to them for a year or two. They're our friends and we're completely invested, and then so are they.
Right.
And while we always say, shop around, look at rates, ask us all the questions, send us what estimates you get. We'll go through and review it with you. They come to us because we've built that rapport, and we're fair.
Yeah.
I think people sense that. I'm sure in your business too, Kris, people can tell if you're genuine or if you're not. And it doesn't, I don't think that comes from a place of whether they're intelligent or what their IQ is. I think people, they have a sixth sense. They know if somebody has their best interest at heart or they don't.
Yeah.
And that sadly, in every field, there are people that don't.
Yeah.
And I think that people kind of just feel comfortable with you if you do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it goes a long way. And, what I love about what you guys, just shared and talked about was that, we were joking about it earlier, right? ABC, always be closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all where we came from, right? That sales environment, right? You got to close.
Yeah.
Put dinner on the table.
Right.
But I think as you progress and you mature in what you do in your profession, especially what we do, with helping people with their finances, with their investments, with their homes. It's a huge responsibility that I can tell, you guys don't take lightly. You put a lot of time and effort into building that trust. And a lot of that just comes into even just educating even the next generation of, it is possible, but it starts with a plan. You have to,
Right.
take a look at where you're at and what are the steps to get there. Cause I know for the young generation, it just seems like so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And unattainable.
Yeah.
Well, and they're realizing how expensive it is just to live.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add this on top of it. But it's, I mean, how much more of advantage does someone have when they come to you at 21 and says, I'm going to start my 401k versus someone who comes to you at 40?
Oh, huge advantage.
Right.
So for home ownership,
Same.
my grandma always said, buy the cheapest house in the most expensive neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Buy something.
Yeah.
Stick a stake in the ground.
Yeah.
You can trade up. You can rent it. You can rent it, buy another home, and then sell that and do a 1031 exchange into a 2 or 3 or 4 unit later. You just have to buy it, but buy it with the best terms possible. And that's where, if it takes a few months, okay, but it's so important. I mean, let's look at the benefits. Nobody's going to tell you got to move. No one's going to say you can't paint that wall or move that fence. You're going to get a tax write-off. The government's taking a huge amount of their W-2 income anyway. Most people that buy are W-2 wage earners.
Yeah.
They have no write-offs.
Yeah.
They're paying somebody else's mortgage, or they're paying an apartment complex's debt down, as opposed to paying down their own principal balance, which they're forced to do every single month when they make a payment.
Yes.
I
Savings.
And if you look at the trajectory of homeownership over 30 years, there's only been 2 down years. One of them was 2008, which everybody knows. 2 down years. That's it.
That's huge.
I mean, it's a pretty fantastic thing when you look at the facts of what home ownership does and how home appreciation is continual.
Hell yeah.
And how, why you have to live somewhere anyway. Why not own it? But the hard part now is that there's such a shortage of inventory, and it's very hard for first-time home buyers to get homes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Obviously that's probably what you guys are dealing with right now, right?
Mhm.
I mean, with interest rates,
All year.
with inflation.
Yep.
I'm sure it's impacted your business, but also for people that you speak with who want to buy a home, right? First-time home buyers, it's just, I'm sure, frustrating right now for them.
It is.
That lack of inventory. So what do you, I know you talked about kind of working with them. Like, what are some other things that you guys maybe do with them to help them kind of keep them encouraged, keep them, on that path of non-discouragement? Because I think that gets into the minds of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they end up maybe making some sacrifices saying, oh, I'll just move to another state because it's,
Right.
a lot cheaper.
Right.
I mean, I love California and I don't
Yeah.
think I'll ever
We do
leave.
too.
I don't think I can leave.
Yeah.
So, but it is obviously takes a lot of money. It takes work
Right.
to live here too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, what are some things additionally that you guys do to help?
I think that something that is helpful is explaining the different updates that come along, and whether it comes down to like the down payment assistance programs or some new guideline that changed where you can put less money down. Keeping them updated, it helps. It helps because not everyone can qualify for a down payment assistance program, right? But some people can. And the people that you're probably referring to are the people that can. And there are programs where you can get financing for even your closing costs.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
So, and so, we subscribe to all sorts of different newsletters and programs so that we always know what's going on, but not everyone knows about those things. So here, I think one huge misconception is that you have to have a ton of money to put down on a home.
Right. So,
And it's just not the truth anymore. I think that it was, back probably when our parents were buying properties, but it isn't the case anymore. There are so many different ways that we can structure a loan and help you get into a property if the time is right for you.
Right.
We run into a lot of people who are, they've graduated college, they have a great career, they have great income, but they're paying a lot in rent and they haven't been able to save that money,
Right.
but they can qualify, but they might not have the down payment.
Right.
Well, that's a perfect example of someone who would use and benefit from doing one of the down payment assistance or a gift from a family member. I mean, there
Mhm.
are so many different ways. There's so many different ways to buy a home.
I mean, how many times do we try to pre-qualify somebody and they're like, no, yeah, I can't do it. I don't have any money.
Yeah.
And then you
that's
tell
the
them,
common
Yeah.
misconception, right? It's I got to have 20% down.
right.
I want a $1 million home, for
Right.
example. That's a lot of money. I don't have that.
But then you talk to them and then okay, well, this is the minimum amount you need down, even if we weren't going to do a first time home buyer, or if they didn't
Right.
qualify, or, there's income limitations and so forth. So if somebody didn't fit in that box,
And they
Then
get
they're here.
FHA.
and
Right.
then we're like, okay, well, this 5%, this is what 5% translates to. Can you get a gift?
Mhm.
I mean, what's your 401k? Can you take a loan? You're going to pay yourself back interest anyway. And then it's amazing how they start thinking, they're like, well, yeah, maybe I can do that.
Mhm.
Then they call you back the next day. Okay, I figured it out.
Mhm.
Okay, well, now we can pre-approve you.
Yeah.
It's like it feels so unattainable to them, mainly in part because of what they hear on the news. And what you hear on the news usually isn't really accurate with what's going on in the housing market.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the biggest issue. I don't know how you guys think about it, but I love the time that we live in.
Yeah.
Technology.
It's amazing.
We live in a world of right now abundance.
Right.
But I think the issue that's affecting a lot of people is being resourceful.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's so much information, it's almost to a point of overload
Right.
where they get paralyzed in a sense. It's like, well, I'm hearing the majority is saying I need a lot of money to own a home.
Yeah.
It's out of my reach. But if it's just knowing the people that, will educate you, that will give you the information that will be specific probably to you,
Right.
then you can probably attain that goal much
Yeah.
sooner than you think.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
That just having that quick conversation, just being open and saying, hey, yeah, if you have, X amount, and just educating them, that gives them the opportunity now to own a home.
Yep.
It's a lot more powerful than them just taking for what it is when they see it online or
Yeah.
It's true. And
seeing on the news.
we were talking about earlier how people don't come into the office. Everything is pretty much done online. And the thing that separates us is that you can go online and apply with us online. It's very easy. You can upload everything and it's great because it's secure and you can do it on your time. But that first conversation that you have with us is one of the most important steps in buying your home.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is invaluable. So while, technology is fantastic, being able to talk to someone who has the knowledge, I mean, like Pete has, obviously, it's really, truly such a gift, and it sets you up the right way versus you see advertised online, whatever interest rate, you go, I want to buy a home. And then you
Mhm.
click the link, you go through to the link, you apply, and they tell you, oh, you're approved for 400,000.
Right.
And then you go, well, I can't buy anything in Orange County for 400,000, or I can't buy what I want for 400,000. But you didn't know to give all of the information
Right.
on that application that he knows to ask to determine, oh, you can actually qualify for 600,000,
Mm.
right? It's a huge difference. And so that really does separate us or any mortgage
Yeah.
broker.
Well, to your
From-
point, I think it's, are we selling debt or are we selling a service?
Mhm.
And the debt that's going to help you buy your house. The service is like, the first thing we do is a dreams and goals call where we ask them specific questions.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Where do you-
Expand upon that.
Yeah. Where do you want to be? What's your goal? Do you want to buy something and use as a stepping stone to buy another house later as your family grows? Are you single and you have no intention of doing that? You want to live in France half the year and need a small place here and you want to pay it off in 15 years. How does that work with your business? What are your goals? What are your plans? Everybody's plan is different. So once we know what that is, then we can really put in perspective, okay, this might be a better loan program. If they can afford a 15-year loan or 20-year loan, look at how much interest you're going to save.
Yeah.
If not, if you want to keep this house and then move up to something else, let's go over a amortization table and I'll show you that paying one extra payment a year cuts 8 years off your 30-year loan.
Yeah.
The one extra payment a year. Like,
That's one.
but there's just so many different things that we can show that sets them up and puts them in a position to where, and it's not just we call them when rates are low because we want to refinance you.
Right.
We call them when rates are low because rates are low. Why pay more interest?
Mhm.
Let's take that $180 a month your savings and put it back in your mortgage. You're already comfortable making your current payment.
Mhm.
So let's put it back in your mortgage, pay your loan off down an additional and less than 4.5 years than what you're going to do before.
Yeah.
So I just don't like to sell debt. I like to really discuss what's your objective? What do you need to do? Well, I mean, obviously our rates are competitive and our fees are competitive, but that's the bottom of the barrel. That's
Right.
nothing. Everybody can offer that.
Yeah, exactly.
So to Kristen's point, we want to learn about our clients and really dig deep and figure out what it is they need, or else we're doing a disservice, because then we could just put up a website and walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And like you said, I mean, you're not just selling debt, you're selling a service. And I think when people go and get a mortgage, right, they typically just look for the lowest interest rate.
Right.
Right. It's like same in my industry. If you're someone that is looking for help and you're just looking for the one that's going to cost you the lowest in fees.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to get with it? And your approach of service first, because the debt is just a product.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I love the approach of goals and dreams, because that's something that, quite honestly, I've never heard, mortgage brokers, lenders ask someone when they're buying a home.
Right.
They just ask for all the numbers,
Right.
and see if we can pre-qualify you.
Right. Because usually the objective is how do we turn this into a closed loan as quickly as possible?
Mhm.
Because not everybody, but a lot of people have experience. And like the lenders and brokers I worked with before, that's the goal. How many loans can we close?
Yeah, I mean,
But there's
no one
families
asked me
attached
my
to
goals.
that. Yeah.
When I bought my home, since I would have liked them and
Yeah.
asked, what are your goals? Because you are, again, that's a financial instrument.
Right.
Way. And again, asking them, is this for short term, long term? Is this the forever home? Whatever it may be.
Right.
You're also helping them just kind of expand their thought process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have clients too that, maybe they don't make the right decision. Like I've had a lot of clients who say, Pete, I want to do a 15-year loan. Things are going great at work, blah, blah, blah. And the rate's lower, and that's great. But then they call you up 2 or 3 years later, their income situation's changed, and like, I gotta go back to
Yeah.
the 30.
Yeah.
And now the rates are higher, but they need to qualify.
Yeah.
But it's like, if we discuss these possibilities, well, at the time we did discuss it, but things change. But when somebody wants to do that, I always ask them, what's the possibility this could happen?
Yeah.
And if it could, let's keep it at a 30 where your payment's affordable and pay that extra
And
payment
pay
a
the
year.
extra.
Yeah.
Or pay an extra 1/12 of the payment per month, which equals the payment a year. The whole idea is just to get the interest paid off as quick as possible.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of things to help them where they're not in a position where they call you. Like my worst fear is when they call me and say, we're in debt, we need to cash out.
Right.
It's
Or
just-
I don't know how I'm going to make my payment.
That means they're struggling.
Mhm.
And that means you help them get in a position where they're struggling. You can't help life changes.
Mhm.
They can't help life changes.
Right.
But if we can try and see those possibilities, and maybe this could happen, maybe that could happen in their field or whatever, then we can help sidestep some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, you're in a lot of ways, again, not just, like I said, I mean, that's why I love the approach, because it aligns with obviously what I do as a financial planner. The goal is to kind of see the potential pitfalls that they may
Right.
run into.
Oh, yeah,
See,
I'm sure.
We can't tell the future, but I think just by going through the process that you guys go through, not just collecting the financials, but really kind of understand your client,
Right.
maybe how they think, kind of their goals, does give you some intuition in a way, guide them in a much better program or much better loan,
Yeah.
or maybe better decision, not right now, in a few months.
Right. Basically, we're just trying to be more like you, Kris. We want to ask the questions that a good financial planner would ask. I know you have to ask a lot of questions up front. You don't just take information. You're trying to figure out what their goals are. When do you want to retire? Right?
Yeah.
You have money set aside for your kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to do that stuff. And so we're just aspiring to be more like you.
No, that's why I say the approach is, it's aligned. It's again, I've dealt with mortgages personally, mortgage brokers and everything. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not something you hear
Yeah.
every single day. And I think it's important people to know that, especially when you're going to go and buy your first home or second home. It's more than just finding the cheapest rate.
Right.
It's
Right.
finding someone who really has your best interest and who can really guide you. Because I don't do any mortgages. So anyone that wants, to buy a new home, I'm going to refer them to someone like you who also has that same mentality that has their best interest at heart and is not just going to put them into something that is just going to
Yeah.
ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close to D.
And that's what it is. And a lot of times the cheapest rate isn't the cheapest rate.
Yeah,
Right.
Most of
Right.
the time, the cheapest rate has fees or some other type of a
Something.
loan stigma to it that is it's not apples to apples.
Right.
And that's where we have to look at. I always say, well, let's look at their loan estimate. Well, they didn't send me one. I'm pretty sure if they're quoting you an interest rate for the largest thing you're ever going to purchase, and it's a 30-year commitment, then maybe you should have a detailed explanation of the costs. And they don't. No, most times they don't when they're rate shopping. And because
it's preliminary.
it's preliminary,
Yeah.
it's a quote, but when you send a loan estimate, there's a box that says locked or floating.
Okay.
So if I'm going to disclose to you something, I just say it's not locked, it's floating, but this is, if you wanted me to lock it, this is what it is today.
Yeah.
But it shows everything.
Yeah.
It's completely detailed. It shows what the APR, it shows the total cost of the interest over the term of the loan. It shows all the costs broken down, the payments with or without impounds, everything. And a lot of people, they just get this rate. And that's like, well, and then when they force them to get the loan estimate, it usually looks very different than what they're told verbally. And that's horrible. That's disingenuous.
It's very deceiving.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Also, if they are out looking at homes because they've been pre-qualified, right?
Yeah.
And they have a certain interest rate in mind, which is an interest rate is a flash look at the market that day in that moment, unless you're locked in.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now they think they're ready. So they're out looking at homes and now they find their home that they really want to buy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they go back to that person, whoever that was, they gave them that, and the rate is different or the costs are different or whatever is different. And a lot of times we get those people that come to us because they're like, I want to buy this house. And now I'm being told that I can't because of whatever. It wasn't a thorough job. And
Right.
now Pete and I figure out, how are we going to do this for them?
Right.
Right. And that's a disservice because you need to tell your client, here's the rate for today. And don't go look at houses that are, over your limit.
Right.
But lucky for us, we get them and we solve the problem
Right.
and help them get their house.
That's
But
kind of one of my favorite things to do.
it is. Yeah.
I love that.
We are definitely
Like just fixing a problem.
solution finders.
Yeah.
But to your point, what we do for buyers, as we touched on earlier, right? This massive shortage in properties.
Yes.
So they have a very little pool of properties even to look at.
Yeah.
And of the pool of properties they have to look at, and there's a number of different reasons for that. We can go into that if you want, but the main reason I'll go back, the small pool of properties, they're getting tons of offers if the properties are priced right. Normally in the 600 to 1.5 range, kind of the attainable properties.
Yeah.
And one out of every three of those offers is cash. So now we have somebody that's doing everything they can to get qualified.
Yeah.
They found a home they love. They make an offer.
Yeah.
Well, there's a cash offer right next to it. So our objective is to make them a bulletproof buyer. And we do that by making sure that they're fully approved, not just pre-approved. We pre-approved them. Then we send them to underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get a full underwriting approval. So now they can write an offer without a loan contingency. And then we talk about appraisal gap strategies. In case the appraisal comes in a little lower, can we restructure the loan and still make this work? And if they're comfortable with that, we can remove the appraisal contingency. So now they literally compete with a cash buyer. They can close in the same time frame.
Yeah.
They have no contingencies. At the end of the day, what does the seller get? Either they get a wire from the cash offer guy, or he gets a wire from the person that's a bulletproof buyer.
Right.
It's the same money.
Yeah.
So we have to do that in this market. We have no choice.
Okay.
So,
And especially with the interest rates coming down.
yeah, it's going to be more of a frenzy. It may shake some more sellers loose, which is good. Maybe, and I think that's the main reason. Sellers are like, well, we have 3% rate. We can't go buy something at 7.5.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand that. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
But the people that are selling are people that have to, or their investment properties, or they're moving out of state.
Yeah.
But that we've seen it already more than 1% drop in the last 2.5 weeks. And yesterday was another awesome day.
It's a big deal in our world.
And now the Fed's saying that we're finally going to see 3 rate cuts
Mhm.
next year at least. Now that doesn't have a direct impact on mortgage rates, but the fact that there's 3 rate cuts means inflation is coming down, which does have a direct impact on mortgage rates.
Mhm.
So next year is going to be a busy year.
Mhm.
Hopefully we'll get more sellers, but if we don't, it's going to be even more competitive. So and that's the message that we give to our buyers, that this is the reality of what you're dealing with. These are the steps we can take after we go through the dreams and goals, and after we go through the pre-approval, and after we go through everything to figure out where their comfort level is from a budgeting standpoint. This is what we need to do to get the house.
Yeah.
And then it's simple things like calling the listing agent.
Yeah.
Lenders usually don't call the listing agent. It's like, well, why not? It takes 5 minutes. If they'll talk to you, it takes 5 minutes. If not, it takes a minute.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
We're submitting an offer. This is who I am. This is my team. This is the client. Everything's done. Please look at it. They're fully approved. They have no contingencies. Please give me a call if you have any questions. And then when they're looking at 15 other offers, maybe only 3 loan officers called, but you're one of the 3.
Yeah.
And then they can,
that's nice even for the, the client that you're representing.
Yeah.
Because you're taking that workload off of them.
Right.
Like they don't know what they're explaining to them.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
Right.
It's true.
But it's also a benefit to the real estate agent that they're working with.
Yeah.
Because we're on their team.
Yeah.
We're on the agent in some cases refers us clients, and they chose us to be on their team. So we have to make them look good. So now if this agent wrote an offer, because a lot of times offers are accepted because the listing agent knows the buyer's agent, and they're comfortable working with them, and they know that they have a good reputation and a good past track record.
Right. And that they know it's going to be a solid buyer.
They know it's a solid buyer, right? Because they're representing their seller, and they want to make sure that they accept an offer that's the right one.
Yeah.
So, and doing all of that, it's just kind of all encompassing. And then if something happens and the offer isn't accepted, at least the buyer knows they're represented all the way by their realtor and their lender.
Okay.
We tried everything, and it just wasn't meant to be, and we have to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But there's no question thinking, wow, did they not do their job? Did I choose the wrong team? Because at the end of the day, we're their team, right?
Exactly.
So I never want them to think, even question, did we not do everything we possibly could?
Yeah.
Yeah, an offer accepted.
Anything that's important, just like the example that you brought up, right, with the cash buyer, like if you don't have, that cash, you just get discouraged. You're like, oh, I can't compete with these cash buyers. But like you said, you just go above and beyond to take those steps to see, well, then how then can we compete in different ways?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the seller's either going to get cash or cash from the bank.
Right.
Wire from the bank.
Right.
So,
it's a wire.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Same thing.
They're still going to get it in their bank.
Yep.
So I think just even knowing that, right, the steps, the extra steps that are possible, I think is also encouraging.
Right.
Especially the first time home buyers, the millennials, the Gen Zers who are now going to want to get into their, first home, the second home.
Right.
That's important. Especially, like you said, lack of inventory still.
Yeah.
Being an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about rates coming down. So it's, what do you guys foresee what business looks like? Like for someone that they're reading the news, right?
Yeah.
Like I hear it all the time, like, oh, I'm going to wait to buy my home and we have another crash.
Yeah.
You don't want another 08 trust.
Yeah. Right.
Right. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
With that being said, like someone that is wanting to buy a home, maybe they don't know exactly like time frame, like maybe within a year, 2 years, for example. What are some things that you think they should be doing right now to prepare themselves, regardless of however rates are, wherever rates are, so that they can be in the prime position to maybe do it sooner than they thought?
Right. Should I go?
You can.
I mean, that full thing that we talked about, the dreams and goals, the loan application over the phone or in person, full look at financials, a soft pull on their credit. It's not a hard inquiry, it's a soft inquiry, but it lets us go through the credit, make sure everything's right. Just a complete analysis of everything. And then to give them an actual pre-approval so they know what they have. And then we give them different loan options. A lot of times I'll I'll do for first time buyers. We have a really comprehensive deal where we can put in different loan scenarios with down payment options and payments and so forth. It shows graphs and savings over time, and it's really detailed and interactive. And we send that to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll do, let's say you're looking at $800,000 house, we'll do a $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, and $1 million purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So they can see what the difference is in the $100,000 increments,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of get them in place of wrapping their head around where they should be. That's usually the longest period of what takes the most. Once they know they're approved, okay, well, where am I comfortable with? And sometimes people want to go to the max they're approved for and more. And other times they're conservative and they would say, nah, I don't want to be house poor. I want to be around here. So we go through that process. But once they say, I want to start looking, then we make them bulletproof. Then we fully submit the loan to underwriting. We go over the appraisal gap strategy I talked about briefly. We go over what it takes to make them look like a cash buyer at that point. But for somebody who's just starting, whether they're 5 years out, to your point earlier, or a month away, just talking to us just so we can give them some basics.
It is. That initial conversation is so important.
And there's no pressure. It's just that the fact is just to help them get prepared for whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because through that conversation, then we can tell them, this is how much you need to put away every single month.
Right.
Or this is where you can get the funds from.
Or get another credit card or
right.
Get
you
off
don't have
that
enough
authorized
trade
card
lines
or
exactly. If you're an authorized signer, it could be affecting you. Keeping their credit cards at a certain balance, right? Whatever that needs to be, usually below 30% or so. Obviously I like to see it much lower, but but don't delayed gratification. You see the shiny car, you want it. Wait.
Right. Don't buy it.
Wait. Please wait, because the average car payment I think it's at $700 a month or something right now.
Yeah.
And that is not, you're not buying a luxury car. You're buying an everyday car for that payment. That's a huge deal when it comes to qualifying for a mortgage. That $700 in monthly debt that you have equates to, I can't even imagine how 100.
No, 700 probably equates to between probably 80 grand.
80 grand. Okay.
Right
But that's a big deal.
That's a lot of money.
It's a big deal when you're
that's
going
a bedroom
to
and a bathroom.
Yeah.
buy.
It's still something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's an asset that you own, that's
Sure.
Right.
car.
Versus a car that isn't.
Yeah.
Right. So if you really are planning on buying a home, all of those things are important. And that conversation happening, you'll figure those things out in that discovery. He'll see, oh, this is what you need to do. Hey, you might be ready right then, but you mentally aren't ready.
Right.
Right.
That happens.
But
That happens a lot.
That does happen.
All the time.
And I think a really important question is one that I always ask. We can qualify you or approve you for a certain amount, but what is your comfort level for your monthly housing expense? What is your comfort level?
Right.
That is a very different number usually than what someone qualifies for.
Yeah.
Usually they are much more comfortable at lower,
Right.
and we can qualify them for higher. And it's a big deal, right? They sometimes will go up to the max, like what Pete was saying. But we have these conversations. You mentioned you are comfortable at $3,500 a month. And you're saying now, I want to have a $4,500 a month payment, right? Do you? Is that realistic? What about childcare? What about your insurance costs, medical costs, all of those things?
But then
we
also, on the flip side, we also look into where tax benefit.
Right. That's true.
Now you can write off a portion of your property tax. Now you can write off a good majority of your interest you're paying.
Right.
So what's really your after-tax payment? That
Right.
$4,500 payment might be $3,800 after tax.
Yeah.
And then we can try and figure out ways. We get on calls with their CPA all the time. Hey, what would it be if they changed their dependents? How can they do things where their check's a little higher so they can balance their budget with this new payment and expect less of a return at the end of the year? And there are ways to structure that to make it work for them.
No, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it just depends how deep they want to dig. But I mean, we get on calls with CPAs, we get on calls with their financial planners, their father-in-law. I mean, whoever they need to talk to.
Whoever needs to jump on the call.
Yeah.
But I like when you do the cost of waiting analysis.
Yeah.
Like, how much are you paying in rent right now? Okay, yes, you want to buy a home. And then he could go in and say, well, this is what you're doing now. And if you did this, bought this home, this is where you'd be in 5 years. But if you don't and you continue to rent, this is where you'll be in 5 years, and this is what you would have missed out on.
Right.
It's not to scare you or to say, oh my gosh, you shouldn't ever be renting, because some people, they need to rent for certain periods of time,
Right.
and that's absolutely fine. But it's just to show you this is what you can do.
The sooner
So-
you can, the better. Usually.
Right.
So
So
what does the output look like? I'm curious on that.
Well,
What
you
do
look
they
at
see?
basically what the appreciation estimate is, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be what it has been.
Yeah.
But you figure 3% appreciation over 5 years, and then you figure the tax benefits, and then you take that and divide that by what they'd be paying on rent.
Yeah.
And look at the difference. And it's usually pretty substantial over a 5-year period.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's never negative. It's always positive. It's always in the betterment to do it, especially since we know that this is not another 2008.
Yeah.
So everybody has equity. There's not going to be a slew of foreclosures or short sales.
Yeah.
Like there were in 2008. Everybody that qualified, overqualified this time, not underqualified.
Yeah.
So the demand is just too big.
Yeah.
So if somebody can't afford a home, they're going to sell it as an equity sale, and it's not going to be, they're going to sell it for the most they can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of agents out there know how to market, and they know how to coach their clients, and they're not short fire selling anything. They're doing a regular sale because it'll sell. If it's priced right and it's a nice home,
Yeah.
it'll go. So we know we're going to continue to see home appreciation. And I mean, we would almost, it's just the best educated guess out there. And it just makes sense to buy if you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like I said, it just really just comes down to the education piece.
Mhm.
Right? I think that's the first step for anyone that wants to begin building for the future. Again, buying a home is one of the biggest steps to do that.
Yep.
And just making those additional calls to the CPA, to the financial planner. Is there any room, like you said, that we can change their tax status?
Yeah.
So that they can qualify for this payment, because at the end of the day, it's just the net number.
Right.
Right. That's the most important thing.
Right.
That a lot of people don't think about. They always look at the gross taxes.
And they don't look at the net.
Payment. It's always about the net.
Or their taxes and insurance can be paid separate. If they get let's say they get an end of the year bonus.
Yeah.
That's part of our discovery call. We
Yeah.
figure that out. Okay, well, let's not impact your taxes. You can budget easier just paying your principal and interest payment. But what I always share with them is, these are the questions I ask. Do you think your income's going to go up? Yeah, absolutely. Do you think your rent's going to go up? Absolutely. I go, well, guess what? The mortgage is only going to go down. Because if there's an opportunity to refinance, this because you're reducing your interest, it's never going to go up.
Yeah.
So people sometimes they just buy too soon. Eventually, their income catches up,
Right.
and now they're like, "Oh, I can easily afford this payment."
Yeah.
But that's 5 years down the road. And imagine, and then they're $80,000 to the detriment because they didn't. That's part of the cost of weight analysis. What we do.
Yeah, I think that I'm glad you shared that. I think that's very powerful for someone, again, if they're hesitant, right? At
Yeah.
this point in time in their life.
Yeah.
Can I afford it? Should I just hold off a little bit? And there's just that hesitation. Well, just something simple like that, I think it just kind of will put everything in perspective
Right.
and see actually is more benefit
Yeah.
to do it now versus waiting, or again, conversations with you guys, leading them in the right direction, wait a few more months.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I love, like I said, I love the approach. I love the way you guys, look at things.
It's fun. I mean, it really is, because you're helping somebody. They want to buy a house. They know inherently they should, but they just have to figure out how to do it. And these aren't scare tactics. These are just, they're just basic facts. You look at the history and look at where we are now versus where we were then, and look at where we're going. And these are just basic market indicators. And it just shows that we're going to continue to see this.
Yeah.
And I don't see as slow, maybe the really high priced homes are going to have some kind of an adjustment. I imagine I see some of them I track do, but those homes they're priced differently than homes that are in the more attainable area.
Yeah.
Which are what first time home buyers or second time move up buyers are looking at.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's just going to continue to, economics wise,
Right.
That's how everything is just going to keep growing and keep expanding.
Right.
Yeah. I think if you can, and I do believe that a lot of people can own a home. I
Yeah.
think it's just a matter of just shifting a few things, right, in their mentality,
Right.
educating themselves with the proper information, and really looking at their situation as their own situation, and not taking all the broad information and assuming that that applies
Right.
to them.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, these are your set of circumstances. This is your objective. And let's cut out all the noise and look at this for a second.
Yeah.
And figure out if we can make this work. And if we can't, this is what we need to do. This is the goal.
Yeah.
And then we're your team. We'll work with you until you get there. But I gotta say, there's not many people that have ever come back and said, geez, I sure wish I didn't buy that house. That was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
People don't come back and say that was a big mistake. I
I've
really
never
wish I
heard
didn't do that.
I've never heard anyone
doesn't
say
happen.
that. No.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in 2008 when people that shouldn't have been buying those homes
Right.
did.
Yeah.
But that was just a completely different circumstance. Not 2008, 2006 and 7, 5, 4.
Yeah.
But that was nuts.
Yeah. That is once in a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And
Once in a lifetime.
those same homes, the value is so much higher now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it bounced back.
Oh
So
yeah. Way higher.
the people that held on to them,
Right.
they're fine,
Right.
you know? So you're right. It was the people who just stretched and just thought, this is great. Just going to buy everything.
Right.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
So-
It was.
Well, what are there any things that you guys think about in the future that kind of not scare you, but just concern you about maybe the direction of the economy, the housing market, anything that you see in your profession that, kind of keeps you up a little bit at night?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I worry about, truthfully, is inventory. They can only build so much.
Yeah.
And, I know I hear that people are moving out of California in droves, but sure seems like there are a lot of people still here.
And moving it and moving
and there
here.
are a lot of people actually moving in too.
Right.
And so I just wonder how that's going to work. I think there's a huge segment of senior people that own properties that might be too large for them, that maybe they
feel stuck.
They feel stuck. They don't realize that they can qualify for a reverse purchase mortgage, or that there are programs out there that help them get from. I mean, we have programs that are asset qualification programs that don't even go off of income. There's so many different ways to structure a transaction that I think that's kind of the stop hold right now. They don't want to move because they don't want this higher rate, or they don't feel they don't have that income.
Right.
But they have this asset that they were smart enough to purchase and hold on to, make the payments, and now they own this place.
And they might not be comfortable in that home anymore. It might not have
lot
a
of times they're
downstairs
not.
bedroom.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
2 stories.
They just
They
need to
want
be
a single
smaller.
level.
Exactly.
Downsize, make it more
Mhm.
livable
But
for
then
them.
now they're in their retirement period
Right.
where they don't have the same income.
And if we can help show them how to move successfully to where they want to move to, that's going to free up more properties for people that want to purchase,
Yeah.
or purchase up.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a couple lock stops in there that could help too. But
Yeah.
I'm sure when the rates come down, I can't imagine when the rates are in the 5s. They're already back in the 6s.
Yeah.
They were at 8 last month. 8.
That's a dramatic shift.
And now we're in the
Fun.
6s,
Yeah.
high 6s, but 6s. We just locked a VA loan at 6.2%. So, and a lower loan amount VA loan in the high 5s. So, I mean, they're definitely here, but when they're in the 5s and their rate's 3 and they're like, okay, well, we can buy a new house and maybe buy the rate in the 4s. That's not much of a difference.
Yeah.
I think it's going to really change a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm confident that will be the case, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what about as far as, like I always also obviously like ask a little bit personal questions, like your own, I'm a big proponent of legacy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you guys, obviously you guys are helping people with their homes and fulfilling their dreams. What do you guys see for like Rescom? What do you envision for yourselves? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I mean, to continue doing what we're doing, but to work with more, real estate agents and financial planners are kind of our main power partners, if you will.
Yeah.
And those relationships are really important to us because we're serving the same client.
Yeah.
And so you're trusting us to work with your client or vice versa. And that team thing is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So my goal is to continue what we're doing with clients, but to also continue building those relationships and creating that service environment. Like, we won't work with somebody that doesn't have the service mindset, because that's our mindset.
Yeah.
And I already know that's how you are for certain.
Yeah.
So those synergies are important, and I want to continue to, but you'll have 5 or 6 experiences with people, and you'll come out with one person that really shares your same likeness with clients.
Yeah.
So it takes a while to build those relationships, but that'll be my legacy, is to have a few more of those relationships and just keep the machine going and keep it, maybe add 1 or 2 support staff, but I don't ever want to be too big, because then you get away from the real goal.
Yeah.
And the real goal is, I can only talk to so many people in a day, and I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
I don't want them to go to a website, fill out an app, and not know what's going on and not have the direction they need.
Right. Yeah.
And so Kristen's my right-hand man.
Yes, I am.
So if anybody I trust to talk to my clients is Kristen, and the reality is, they're our clients. I mean, we're on the same team.
Yeah.
So it's, we'll service as many people as we can and take care of them. And
do you guys service only locally, or do you guys also serve people nationwide?
so we're in the whole state of California, the whole state of Texas.
Okay.
We might go to Idaho and or Florida, but I just did Texas because a lot of my clients were moving to Texas, and I wanted to help them.
Yeah.
And it was a relatively easy license to obtain, so I figured, why not? But California, I mean, it's always, we know the areas, and we have a lot of realtor relationships here. And so this has always been the main focus.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then what about for people who want to get a hold of you guys, who want to maybe take that dream call and just kind of see what that process looks like? Like, how do they get a hold of you guys? Is it something on like online, social media? Do you guys offer complimentary consultations? What does that like process looks like?
Yeah. I mean, for me, if they have my information, it's text, cell, email, call, anything.
Social media,
For
Instagram,
Kristen,
Facebook.
runs the social media. We get contacts, Facebook, Instagram.
You'll get either of us.
Yeah.
Any way that you reach out. If it's something that has our name on it, one of us is going to.
And then we'll just set an
communicate with
appointment,
you.
and then whenever it's convenient, we'll schedule that call.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it's important. Like, this isn't a pressure thing. It's like, what can we help you with? What do you need? And then we'll start. And then if they're like, we want to buy a house right now. Okay, well, let's have your dreams and goals call, and let's go through the process.
Yeah, no, I think exactly. That's important. Like, I follow the Rescom social media, and it's a lot of great educational information. And I think that's
cool. Thank you.
Really what's helpful for people, just to, get that information, get that education. Because yes, rates are coming down. I'm sure a lot more people are going to get even more eager now.
Right. Now the affordability's there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So website,
You can go
Instagram,
to
Yeah.
can,
social
you
media.
can, yes. Any and all of them. But you see that we do post Pete's cell phone number. You text it or call it. That's, you're going to get straight to him. You're not going to some call center. It's straight to his phone, right?
I don't like those calls.
I know, because sometimes you get looped into where you can never get a person because they're trying to push you to a website or wherever else. But we give our cell phone numbers. It's us who is answering all of the social media comments and messages, and it's us. So
Right.
you're not getting somebody else.
Yeah.
It's easy to contact us.
Right.
You'll get one of us.
That's the whole objective.
Yeah.
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 I love that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys think would be important for people to know about, just maybe the industry, you guys, that maybe we haven't touched on, that you think could be helpful for people that are going through this journey, right, of buying a home or getting to that point where they're ready?
What do you think?
I
I feel like I've done a lot of the talking.
think I think for anyone who doesn't think that they can ever qualify, just call us.
Yeah.
Send us a text, give us a call, and let us help you figure out how you can.
Yeah.
Because it's very rare that we come across someone who we can't help. I mean, very, very rare.
Yeah.
There is a way to do it.
Either now or later. It's just
Right. Now,
that second
later.
job will become 24 months. Now we use
Right.
your income. I mean, there got so many different reasons. Who knows?
So don't hesitate to reach out to us. There are no stupid questions. It's literally what we're here for. We love helping people.
Yeah.
Like one of the very best feelings ever, and why I like this industry, is that feeling when someone's getting the keys to their home.
Yeah.
Like we don't give the keys, but
Right.
we helped facilitate it, and we're changing their lives. They're going from maybe like a 2-bedroom apartment to a house where they have a yard. They have a basketball court for their kids to play on. They have a lawn. They can play catch with their kids. I mean, it's a big deal to me. I think it just lights me up to see that. So just call us.
Yeah.
And we'll walk you through the process.
Yeah.
Like Pete said, whether it's now or 5 years from now,
Yeah.
we'll still be there walking you through.
Yep.
And after the fact.
Mhm.
I mean,
it's
that's
not,
also a big
you close
deal.
after 30 days, but that's not the end of the relationship, right? It's there's always support for payments, for make sure their insurance or taxes are getting paid, to ask questions as far as if they need somebody to talk to with regards to what upgrades they should do to their home that will have the most impact on value, what they can do if they have a little bit extra money and they want to start really knocking down the principal balance, how they can eliminate some interest rates, not by way of even always refinancing, just by different things they can do with their spending habits.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all, so I mean, we talk to clients all the time that are past clients that we're not doing loans for. We're just helping them.
Yeah. I think that's, thanks for sharing that. I think that's important to know, again, it's all comes down to the experience.
Yeah.
And just knowing that they're not just here to sell me a loan, but really have my best interests. And that's something that you don't hear a lot.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks, Kris.
But that's don't you almost feel like if we don't have a relationship with our clients afterwards, it's like, I'm almost offended. Like, why aren't
what do we do
friends
wrong?
still? You know,
Right.
We went through this like very, big process, and it's a big time in your life, and
one of the biggest
so
parts in their life.
Yeah. So I mean, you can ask Pete. He could go through his database and he's like, oh yeah, I talked to him last week. Like, we're in contact with these people because they're part of our lives now.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think you can say that about a lot of companies, let alone our industry.
Yeah.
People walk in, they buy something, they leave. That's it.
Right.
That's not how we do things.
Yeah.
So
well, I think a lot of people in our industry too, they fluctuate in and out of the industry a lot. And it was easier before when you didn't have to have your NMLS and you can't be a felon anymore. And there's a lot of things that,
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Could be.
hey, note to self.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not as easy to get a license to lend as it used to be, right? I mean, I have my broker's license and my NMLS. Kristen has her salesperson, their NMLS, and our other loan officers have their NMLS licenses and their real estate licenses. But before, it was really easy to get licensed. So people would come in and out of the market, and when business was great, they get in it and then they leave, and it just that's not a career. You're just looking at a job for quick money, right?
Yeah.
At least it appears that way.
Yeah. No,
So if you're always there and you're always in it, you're always kind of have your finger on the pulse and you can always help. And then that's the same, I think, in any field. That's the same in your field as a financial planner, or family planner, right? Same thing with really good real estate agents. Same thing with good insurance agents. They're always there and they're always on it. They can answer quick questions for you. We have clients that call, they just have like really basic quick questions.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about this? And then, okay, see ya.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to know that you have people like that on your team.
Yeah.
I mean, you are their team, right?
Yeah. Right.
I think that's I think the thing for people to understand, like, there's people out here that want to be a part of your team that are not just there to sell you something right there and then, but will just help you.
Right.
We want to see you succeed and build a better life. And buying a home is that huge first step to get to that path.
Huge.
Yeah. And I think it's possible for everyone. I think it's just obviously just a lot of adjustments and changes, but I think it is doable.
Yeah.
For a lot. So, we're nearing the end, and I always love kind of finishing with this, but can you guys share with me your favorite quote? Favorite quote and why? I I love quotes.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Collector of folks.
Go ahead, Kristen. Can she look at her notes?
Yeah, can I look at my notes? But
please.
well, the thing is that I have a quote that I recently came across. I don't know who said it to me or who it came from, but I really like it because it's the people at the top collaborate and the people at the bottom compete. And I think that in our industry, for a very long time, it was just everyone competing back and forth. What's your rate? What's your rate? What's your rate? Like all the time. It's all we ever heard. And now what I think I can see more, obviously there's a lot more visibility with social media, is I see more people coming together, learning from each other. They're educating online. They are collaborating. Two lenders, completely different companies coming online, doing, a podcast or a webinar or whatever. And I really like that. And I feel that way with all of the industries. Every person that I connect with, I want to help them, right? Just like they want to help me.
Yeah.
So I really think that quote is so great for me right now. I do have a different one written down, but that's kind of my favorite.
That was insightful. I like that.
I love that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think you're so right on that as far as, we are seeing a shift of, professions really trying to help each other.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, in the past, like as a financial planner advisor, you would see, other advisors as your competition, but they're really not.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing owning my own business, doing podcasts. Like I love interviewing people in the same industry as I am.
Yeah.
Because I get to learn from them.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people that just need help. And I think it's also about promoting the fact that there's good people out there that want to help people.
Sure.
I think the biggest thing is trust, right?
Right.
People who are looking for that help is who can I trust?
Yeah.
And I think it's getting harder to see that, especially with social media. We're so connected, but yet we're so disconnected.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's what, I love this
100%.
collaboration that is going on, like you said, across the industries.
I really do like it too.
And I think if you think in the terms of abundance,
Mhm.
you're not. There's a big enough piece of the pie
Yeah.
for everybody, right?
Mhm.
So if you think in abundance, there's business there and there's clients, there's opportunities, and I'm going to serve. Then you're no longer. I don't mind. I just to your point too, Chris. I love talking to other loan officers because I learn from them.
Right.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
And that's and you can always learn from people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you won't always fit with that one person.
Right.
So I might talk to 5 different real estate agents, but there are 2 of them that I'm like, wow, we think alike. We do similar things. I'm going to probably work with those 2 way more than the other 3. And that goes across the board. And it also it comes down to when you spoke about, the cost and, I'm looking for the best rate.
Mm.
With me, I want a good deal. I don't want to get ripped off.
Right.
But I will pay for service. I want to be taken care of. I want you to actually care about me. I don't want to be a number.
Right.
And I'm willing to pay. I'm not going to pay thousands of dollars extra for that, but I'm willing to pay extra because you've added value to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the thing that
Excuse
we really try to do is just add value for our clients, no matter if they don't buy a house. I mean, the people who haven't bought houses yet, I think that we've added value to their lives by the advice that
Yeah.
we've given them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's invaluable.
Yep.
mhm.
Invaluable.
So I think my quote would be, how is it worded? The biggest fear in life is to meet the person you could have been.
Ooh, that hits me.
Yeah. So like, but we're going to be okay, Chris, because we wake up every day and we're going to do our best, and that makes us who we are. And we're not going to be that person that is like, I should have been this way. Right. Because we're going to try and do our best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I love Stoics. I love all of that.
Yeah.
Memento Mori. Have you heard of that?
Mhm.
Yeah. And Amore, but I love that.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
Terms. It just so resonates with I mean, my biggest thing, and I heard this on a podcast, and I listen to it like every morning. It's about just imagining if you're on your deathbed. It might sound morbid, but imagining if you're on your deathbed and all of these ghosts start appearing and they start visiting you, and they're the ghosts of regret. They're the ghosts of what you could have done with your life.
Yep.
The things that you had ideas about, dreams about, wishes for your family, for your life, but for whatever reason, you told yourself it wasn't possible, or you didn't want to take that risk. And now all of these ghosts, they surround you, they look at you, they're sad, but they're also upset because now they have to die with you.
Right.
And I remember the first time I just got chills.
You just get me goosebumps.
It's crazy.
I look at it that way, and it's like, life is just, it's so precious. I mean, the odds of us being here, having this conversation that we'll never have again.
Right.
This way.
Right.
Just putting that into perspective, how we are fully in control of everything
that
we do and live, truly a full life with no regret. I think it's possible. And that's just,
Yeah. I think it is too. I do. I mean, we're always going to wonder.
Always.
And we're always going to be like, okay, I could have handled that better. I could have done this differently. But if your heart's in the right place.
Yeah, it's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's why you're me.
Yeah. Oh, it's so in line with that. It's a little in line with Scrooge too, because he had the three ghosts. And I saw the play last night.
Oh.
So you're saying, I'm like, was he there too? Were you at the South Coast Repertory last night? I mean, your ghosts were a little different than his, but there were three ghosts.
Yeah. Similar.
Yeah.
You did both guys. I did think of Scrooge. I was thinking, do you get to wake up and then it was all a dream, or?
Yeah, he got the chance. Your ghost died with you.
Yeah.
My ghost died with me.
Yes.
That's fortunate. I was waiting for the happy part at the end, but
no.
Well, that's what makes it more impactful.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right?
That's why it stuck with you.
Oh,
it will stick with us.
So, I don't want to upset my ghosts.
I know. I don't want
them
any of
happy.
the ghosts around me.
Yeah, right. Even better.
No ghosts.
That means they're full.
Right.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys, honestly.
Oh, thank you, Kris. It was a pleasure, man. Really.
So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And, again, for sharing your business, the life thing. But I love the approach. And I do hope that a lot of people, the information that you shared, and just for those that are hesitant about, can they afford it? I think it's just taking that first step.
Yeah.
That first step is the only thing that you need to do to move forward.
Absolutely.
So,
thank
you guys so much.
Thank you, Kris. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you coming down.
Securities offered through Kestra Investment Services, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Kestra Private Wealth Services, LLC. An affiliate of Kestra is Mavin Bridge Capital, and Kestra Investment Services are not affiliated. Kestra is and Kestras do not provide tax or legal advice. The opinions expressed in this commentary are those of the author and may not necessarily reflect those held by Kestra Investment Services, LLC, or Kestra Advisory Services, LLC. This is for general information only and is not intended to provide specific investment advice or recommendations for any individual. It is suggested that you consult your financial professional, attorney, or tax advisor with regard to your individual situation. Comments concerning the past performance are not intended to be forward-looking and should not be viewed as an indication of future results.